方向是一致的，我也是很喜欢创新，总希望跟过去不一样。我觉得唯有创新才能进步嘛。
Constant innovation such as switching between genres, reinventing his style, and experimenting with new visuals has kept Zhang Yimou, China's greatest director, a relevant and successful figure at home and on the international stage. In the late 80s and all throughout the 90s, Zhang worked on critically acclaimed period dramas, dabbled in comedies, thrillers, and crime films, and switched from a classically formal approach to neorealism. He opened the next decade with the fairly unknown 2000 film Happy Times, this time trying on the genre of situational tragicomedy. The film hasn't made much of a splash abroad, but at least the lead actress Jie Dong found some success at Chinese awards shows and festivals. But Happy Times was quickly overshadowed by Zhang's next film. In October 2002, Zhang unleashed his epic Hero, starring well-known actors Jet Li, Tony Leung, Maggie Cheung, Donnie Yen, and Zhang Ziyi from his previous film The Road Home. It was his first foray into wuxia, a traditional genre depicting the adventures of martial artists in ancient China, and also his first truly commercial film, breaking out of the so-called art world. He would be criticized for selling out to make blockbusters, but one struggles to see why that's a bad thing when these movies are still artistically made, as Hero's critical success no doubt confirms. Hero is set during the Warring States period, when China was divided into 7 states. In the 3rd century BCE, the Qin state is trying to unify the realm through conquest, but multiple assassination attempts on the king of Qin are meant to stop these efforts. A nameless prefect approaches the king, claiming he killed the 3 assassins who recently stormed his castle: Long Sky, Flying Snow, and Broken Sword. Nameless recounts how he killed them, but the king doubts this version of events. He suspects a conspiracy and recounts his own version of what happened. Could it be that the assassins sacrificed themselves? Perhaps their deaths were meant to make Nameless appear trustworthy, so that he can get close to the king and kill him himself? Hero was the first, and so far only collaboration between Zhang and celebrated cinematographer Christopher Doyle, well known for his work on Wong Kar-wai's films. Together, the two artists developed a color-coded aesthetic for Hero, opting to present its various sections bathed in various colors. The film employs a Rashomon-style narrative where the same events are presented in several versions told by unreliable narrators. The stories are dominated by red, blue, and white. The framing story is in blacks and flashbacks are shown in greens. The colors were chosen for aesthetic reasons, not symbolic ones, with Doyle dismissive of color theories. However, the colors are reminiscent of the traditional wuxing scheme, which would also influence Zhang's next movie. Hero banked on the unprecedented success of Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which introduced wuxia to a broad Western audience. With viewers primed for lavish costumes, wild swordplay, and highly choreographed acrobatic combat, Hero became a critical and financial success. It was nominated for a Golden Globe, and it finally became Zhang's 3rd film to be nominated for an Academy Award. It also enjoyed several nominations and wins from various international and domestic festivals and award shows. Despite this success, however, its US release was delayed by 2 years. Miramax bought the distribution rights but was hesitant to put the movie in theaters until Quentin Tarantino finally convinced them in 2004. He also offered to lend his name to promotional materials in order to attract viewers. In the end, Hero became the first Chinese-language movie to top the American box office, where it stayed for 2 consecutive weeks. But Hero also attracted minor controversy. Some critics interpreted the movie to be advocating autocracy, justifying ruthless leadership and glorifying tyranny. Zhang maintains he had absolutely no political points to make with the movie. In any case, given his issues with the Chinese government in the past, it's unlikely he would seek to praise it or promote autocracy. Filming a story from ancient history allowed Zhang to escape the censors and gain creative freedom, and so he followed up Hero with another wuxia film. House of Flying Daggers takes place in the 9th century, when a rebel group of the same name operates on the Robin Hood principle of taking from the rich and giving to the poor. 2 officers, Leo and Jin, are tasked with killing the group's leader. They devise a scheme to get the enemy through a blind dancer called Mei, who is suspected of being the previous leader's daughter. Several twists and double crosses follow, and a romance also develops. House of Flying Daggers might be less epic than Hero, but the visuals are no less impressive. Roger Ebert, for example, was tremendously impressed by the look of the movie.
Forget about the plot, the characters, the intrigue, which are all splendid in House of Flying Daggers, and focus just on the visuals. It's so good to look at and listen to that the story is almost beside the point.
In fact, the film was nominated for an Oscar for Best Cinematography, the first nomination for cinematographer Zhao Xiaoding, who shot 8 movies for Zhang Yimou so far. The film also earned a whopping 9 nominations at the BAFTA Awards and a Golden Globe nomination for Best Foreign Language Film, along with many other nods at awards shows and festivals. A year later, Zhang's next movie, Riding Alone for Thousands of Miles, was a return to low-key drama. The film stars veteran Japanese actor Ken Takakura as a father who wishes to fulfill his estranged son's dying wish. His son is a scholar of Chinese folk opera, and before becoming ill, he worked on documenting it. He especially wanted to film a specific actor's performance of one of the plays, but never got a chance. The father thus travels from Tokyo to Yunnan province to film it for his son. As if the language barrier wasn't enough of a hurdle, he also discovers the actor was put in prison. Even after he convinces the authorities to let him film there, the actor is unable to perform unless he sees his little son, whom he misses too much. So the father has to overcome many more hurdles in order to finally get the actor to sing on camera. Riding Alone for Thousands of Miles doesn't quite reach the heights of Zhang's best works, but it is nonetheless a very heartwarming and well-made movie. Its father-son relationship theme is universal, and the film doesn't need to overcome cultural barriers in order to appeal to a wider audience. It wasn't a hit abroad, though, and it remains a fairly unknown film in the West, probably because it couldn't be as easily marketed as another martial arts spectacle. It enjoyed attention at local awards shows, racking up nominations at the Golden Rooster Awards, which are basically the Chinese Oscars, and winning Best Asian Film at the Hong Kong Film Awards. It's also notable for casting non-actors in its supporting roles, something Zhang previously did in his 1999 film Not One Less. Missing perhaps the opulence of his 2 recent wuxia films, Zhang followed up this small-scale drama with the most expensive Chinese film to date. Curse of the Golden Flower shows its budget in the lavish sets and costumes, which earned an Oscar nomination for costume designer Chungman Yi, as well as in the mass crowd scenes and large-scale battles. Despite receiving praise for its visuals, the opulence of its golden sets looks a bit tacky, and both the writing and the acting leave something to be desired. The film's palace intrigue has been described as operatic, but one fears that it might lean over to soap opera any minute. The film reunited Zhang with his favorite actress and former partner, Gong Li, and also stars Chow Yun-fat, but they failed to elevate the material. It would not be a stretch to mark Curse of the Golden Flower as the beginning of Zhang's gradual decline, and this despite the film earning 14 nominations at the Hong Kong Film Awards. However, his next project would bring him success on a truly global scale. Starting in the 90s, Zhang has also been directing stage productions. These include Puccini's opera Turandot, a ballet version of his film Raise the Red Lantern, and various outdoor performances of folk musicals. These experiences, coupled with his illustrious film career, have made him the perfect man for China's next big venture on the international stage, the Olympics. Zhang directed the bidding film for the 2008 Summer Olympics, as well as the Chinese portion of the 2004 Summer Olympics closing ceremony. He was also selected to direct the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2008 Games in Beijing. Looking at the crowd scenes in Hero, one can see why Zhang would be the perfect choice to stage such lavish performances as 2008 drummers performing in perfect unison. The opening ceremony was highly praised for its spectacle, but also for its themes of harmony and peace. Zhang would also go on to repeat this success with the smaller but no less impressive ceremonies for the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Following his Olympic success, Zhang's cinematic output continued its decline in quality and importance. He would not, however, show any signs of stopping when it comes to reinventing himself and trying new things. 2009 saw him release A Simple Noodle Story. It's Zhang's first remake of an existing film, adapting the Coen brothers' debut Blood Simple. He employed colorful visuals and combined thriller with comedy to create a weird genre blend. The film was rejected by most foreign critics, apart from earning a Golden Bear nomination at the Berlin Film Festival, and it was described as stilted and perplexing. Granted, its humor simply doesn't translate too well outside of China, but the film wasn't particularly praised at home either. It still managed to succeed at the box office, though. Similar to Happy Times, the film which opened this video but you already forgot about it, Zhang's next film, Under the Hawthorn Tree, is a solid but unremarkable film, a romance set during the Cultural Revolution. The film only had a limited festival run in the West, but did pretty well financially at home. His next film would also fail to be memorable, even though it's Zhang's first collaboration with a Western actor. 2011's The Flowers of War features Christian Bale and tells a fictional story set during the 1937 Nanjing Massacre, a horrible event during which the Japanese Imperial Army committed several atrocities. The Flowers of War is not the only movie about the massacre, and, frankly, not even the best one, but Zhang was attracted to the source novel and found its perspective intriguing. It was, once again, the most expensive Chinese film to date, with a $94 million budget, which it only just made back with $98 million grosses at the box office. Only about $3 million of its earnings came from outside China, so despite starring Christian Bale, it's not surprising if you've never heard of it. The movie earned a Golden Globe nomination, and it was China's entry for the Oscars, but overall it received mostly negative reviews. The consensus is that the film is bombastically made, but ultimately does a disservice to the historical events. 2014's Coming Home would reunite Zhang with Gong Li for the last time in a film that would see them return to their smaller-scale dramatic roots. The story centers on a family broken by the events of the Cultural Revolution. The film premiered at the 2014 Cannes Film Festival, but it wasn't a significant hit despite some solid reviews. It did better financially at home and scored many nominations and some wins at domestic festivals and award shows. However, the film glosses over its historical context and presents a sanitized version of China's turbulent past. It would appear that either censorship had its hand in the script, or Zhang himself sidestepped sensitive topics to remain in the government's favor, maybe due to his recent Olympic commissions. This interpretation is supported by Zhang's later patriotic movies, Cliffwalkers, a spy thriller set during the Japanese occupation, and Snipers, a biopic from the Korean War. 2016 saw the release of The Great Wall, Zhang's first Hollywood co-production starring Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, and Willem Dafoe, alongside Andy Lau and Jing Tian. As became customary with his recent productions, The Great Wall was the most expensive Chinese film to date, and, sadly, a box office failure. Zhang was attracted to the film for a number of reasons.
There have been requests in the last 10 or 20 years. Now the production is big enough and really appealing. And very importantly, it has Chinese elements in it. It's good for the promotion of Chinese culture. Then comes the visual effects and action, which I like a lot. It's very different from my last film.
It is indeed different from all his previous films from various perspectives, but mainly because it's his first fantasy film with CG creatures. While the film features several bombastic action scenes and works on a silly entertainment level, it's not well written and received mostly negative reviews. Its casting was also at the center of a somewhat manufactured controversy about whitewashing and perpetuating the white savior stereotype. Zhang's response was dismissive.
In many ways, The Great Wall is the opposite of what is being suggested. For the first time, a film deeply rooted in Chinese culture is being made at tentpole scale for a world audience. Matt Damon is not playing a role that was originally conceived for a Chinese actor. There are 5 major heroes in our story, and he is one of them. The other 4 are all Chinese. I have not and will not cast a film in a way that was untrue to my artistic vision.
He would quickly follow up this dud with Shadow, a film which clearly has an actual artistic vision, and it's perhaps his last visually stunning film. Zhang wanted to emulate the look of Chinese ink paintings for years. Here, he finally achieved this idea through the use of monochromatic costume and set design, and shooting on overcast, rainy days. The resulting desaturated look is mostly achieved in camera. Although the film didn't garner significant awards attention, his work still paid off, with critics praising the film for its cinematography, wuxia action, and visual storytelling. The plot is filled with court intrigue, deception, and heightened emotions, and tells the story of 2 warring kingdoms and a general who seeks redemption following a defeat. Zhang's last notable film came in 2020 with the release of 1 Second. This drama firmly returns Zhang to his storytelling and stylistic roots. Set during the Cultural Revolution, the film tells the story of a father who escapes a labor camp to hunt down a propaganda newsreel. He's willing to do anything to see it because he's heard his daughter can be seen in one scene, and he's desperate to catch a glimpse of her. Unfortunately, the film is damaged, and the entire town has to band together to restore it. 1 Second is at once a love letter to cinema, a story of fatherly love, and a portrait of the times. The latter point may have been problematic for the Chinese government because the film is rumored to be a victim of censorship. It was supposed to be in competition at the Berlin Film Festival, but it was withdrawn at the last minute, and the released film's runtime did not match the runtime information submitted to the festival. There was also some controversy surrounding the film's script, which is based on a novel by Gelling Yan. The author, whose work was also the basis for Zhang's The Flowers of War, did not receive a credit for 1 Second. Despite these issues, however, it's still a well-acted and well-directed movie with an emotional story. Even though his work has been steadily declining in recent years, both in terms of quality and especially in terms of importance, Zhang has helped shape Chinese cinema in a significant way, and he's also enjoyed great international acclaim. His long career has brought us richly varied movies thanks to his desire for constant change and reinvention. But Zhang is not finished yet.
Has there been a change in approach in what you're looking for?
基本上没有改变，一直是总是想，可能下一个电影会更好。
Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, please hit subscribe.